everyone, I'm Caroline, and today I thought I would show you my sketchbook. I finally finished it today. I draw a person every day, and I started this sketchbook 5 months ago. And here is the first page, and this was which one's first? This one, the 9th of June, this year, 2021. I draw a person every day. I've been drawing lots of different characters, but lately I have been focusing on my 3 characters, and these are Lucy, this is Pippa, and this is Dee. And my main aim for this sketchbook, well, 2 main aims really. One was a sideways on face, which I really struggle with, as you can see here, and trying to get a little bit more gesture into the drawing. So let's see how we get on. And this is the first page. So I thought we'd do a little bit of a... Dee is very eccentric. So she decided she wanted to pop out of a cake, so the girls are drawing the curtains back. So generally, each page takes me 3 days, but then there are a few exceptions, as you will see. I think we can zoom in on that a little bit. There we go. On the next page, the girls are going to work. So you've got Lucy is hailing a taxi. Pippa is hailing a taxi while on the phone, busy as ever. But Dee, being a little bit eccentric, is riding on her bike and just looking her usual colourful safe self, because she never wears 2 things of the same colour. And that's something you'll spot right through this. The girls love to coordinate beautifully, but Dee likes to stand out. And she's also got a thing about Monkey Panda. So he features quite often too. It was a hot day when I started drawing these, so I decided, let's give the girls some ice cream. I really enjoyed getting the mouths working on these. I think I got the licking of the tongues, or the tongues licking the ice cream, very well. I'm pleased with that. When I look back, I think, oh, that wasn't so good. Oh, that was good. And I'm pleased with those mouths. And of course, Dee, she always has to overdo things. She's got virtually every flavour in the shop. But it's still hot. So in this page, I decided for 3 days in a row to do the girls with the heat. So Lucy's got her fan. Pippa, always so glamorous with her hand fan. And poor old Dee is not coping at all. Even her normally sticky out hair has just all flopped. Look at the state on the poor girl. Time for shopping. And the girls like to check out the calorie count, the fat count. They're very health conscious. Dee just overdoes it, sticks anything in with a brightly coloured package, anything that's sweet. She's not very good at behaving herself when it comes to eating her food. That's one thing by putting a storyline to drawing every day. I was finding it a little bit tedious. Now I've got a storyline and it's the life of these 3 girls who live together in a house. It's so much more fun. And it was a windy, wet day this day, and you can see, well, it started off being wet. I wanted to draw an umbrella, but then, well, they're not really dressed for the rain, so we'll say the rain has stopped now. So various ways of the girls' skirts blowing, and of course, Dee, in her own eccentric way, is doing a Marilyn Monroe pose. She does love to show off and try a little bit of the high life. But then in the middle of all the summer weather, the girls got a cold. Poor old Lucy. She's not looking very well. Pippa, her nose was running like a tap, so Dee decided she was going to take the day off, get a nurse's uniform and look after the girls. Just slightly eccentric on the nurse's uniform, but she was very helpful and she managed to get the girls all their food and look after them. And the girls decided when they were better that they'd make her a cake. So they've got this huge Dee, thank you, with a Monkey Panda on. And look at Dee, she's really emotional about that because she just loves helping and she never imagined that people would think that she was worthy of a giant cake like that. I fancy a piece of cake now. It was time for a friend's wedding. Now, when I draw these, of course, the people who follow me on Instagram, I'm Caroline J Art on Instagram, only get to see these girls appearing one girl at a time. So, first of all, it was just Lucy. Then there was Pippa with nobody in the middle. Then along came Dee, and then came their friend Jasmine, who was the bride. Turning over. I tell you what I could do for this. If I use this bit of paper, well, it's not really very big, is it? I've got some hand-dyed paper here. It's a bit late now because I've shown you this all, but I'll try covering the pictures up from now on. So it's time for the disco on Friday night. So you can see the girls really love getting into a bit of dancing, and of course, Dee is doing her Olivia Newton-John from Grease impersonation. And now I'm going to put these here. We see how this goes. I don't usually do this. It's going to be a bit of a faff. There we go. It was time for a day at the spa, but it was very early. They could only book the early slot. Poor old Lucy is tired out. Pippa, oh, glamorous as ever. Whatever happens, Pippa seems to look glamorous. And then Dee is up and taking a selfie of herself right away. And of course, she got a little monkey panda in her pocket. This is very rustly paper. Hand-dyed paper is very rustly. That's why my nails are a little bit brown. I was using the coffee yesterday to dye, and even though I've cleaned them up, still a little bit brown. Time for a jog around the park. They're feeling very healthy, these girls. So Lucy is all tired but enthusiastic. There's Pippa, again looking glamorous. Where did Dee get that dog from? Who knows? But then it was time for the little sisters to turn up for a visit. When the girls got home, they were quite excited, and first to knock the door was Molly. And Molly's got a little rabbit that sometimes turns into a bear because I forgot. But Molly does have a little rabbit. And then Polly arrived, and oh, doesn't she look like Pippa? But then, of course, last to arrive would be Dee's little sister, Kay. And there we got Kay, and she loves Monkey Panda too, and she's not quite as girly as the other girls. This may not bode well. Well, I'll show you these whole because I think they make lovely pictures. These ones just took 2 days to actually complete because they're only 2 characters, a bit obvious. So this is when Lucy was taking Molly out to pick some flowers. They were picking daisies to make daisy chains. Still, I'm really struggling with these side-on faces, but I do improve towards the end, and Molly doesn't look too bad there. Pippa and Polly decide to sit down and read a story together, because that's the sort of thing that Pippa would do with her little sister. She's very cultural. So what on earth is Dee and Kay up to? Dee is not going to be reading a story, I don't think, but she may be. What do you think? Nope. Dee, Kay and Monkey Panda are all hanging from a tree, as you would expect from Dee and anyone who is related to her. Put my papers on. It was time for the girls to play in the garden, so they got some bubbles. You can see I'm really struggling with these heads, but they're sort of blowing, so it wasn't too bad. I'm pleased with the bubbles. I thought they were nice. And so you've got Molly is blowing bubbles, Polly is blowing bubbles, and what is Kay up to? She's blown a different sort of bubble. She's got a big bubble of bubble gum and she's floating off up to the sky. Time for a picnic. So Molly is having some oranges. Polly's having her favourite cherry tomatoes. That's not Polly. What am I saying? That's Polly. Polly is having her breadsticks and Kay is having some cherry tomatoes. They're very healthy children, aren't they? And then it was time for bed. Got to turn my page up this way, so let's pull you wrong way out a bit there. And the girls are all sleeping in, there's a triple bunk bed in this bedroom. It's unusual, but I suppose it's like a Swiss chalet. And here you've got Molly sleeping, and this is the quilt that Lucy had made for her. And she's there with her bear, which used to be a rabbit, which will turn back into a rabbit, but is now a bear. She's fast asleep. on the bank underneath is Polly with the patchwork quilt that her sister made for her. And on the bottom, fast asleep, is Kay, who is sleeping a little bit less sedately and serenely than the other girls. And poor old Monkey Panda's thrown on the bottom, as is the quilt that her sister Dee made for her. Right, let's check which way up. Aha, we've got to turn round now, put my papers in and zoom in again. Oops. For some reason I seem to have touched the brightness then, so I hope I haven't spoilt anything. Right, now, I had a bit of an issue with the girls here. They ended up looking too grown up. I don't know what I did wrong. So this is Molly. She's so tired out in the morning. She's terrible. She can't even eat her favourite honey and porridge. Polly is too tired to eat her favourite, which is eggs and toast soldiers. And Kay is so excited because she's being allowed another pretzel. Yay! I wish I had Kay's energy, or Dee's energy. Turning over the page. Molly's looking very excited about something. So is Polly. Okay, what's Dee up to? No, not DK. So many different names. Well, hey, she's got some whoopee cushions. Oh dear, I think it's going to be a long afternoon for the girls now their little sisters have got a hold of whoopee cushions. Oh, and Lucy is very proper, and so she's quite embarrassed. You can see her rosy cheeks. I love this. That is one of the cutest faces I think I've drawn. I just love the way she stood. That was one of my... Ooh, I love that. It's all hit and miss at the moment. One day I'll be so good I'll be able to know what I want to draw and draw it. But that doesn't happen just yet. So Polly has put the whoopee cushion under Pippa. And Pippa is very prim and proper, isn't sure about this. Should she laugh or should she not? Oh, just have a look. We're into August now. So what's going to be going on with Dee and Kay? As you would expect, Dee is thoroughly enjoying the joke. She loves the whoopee cushion. She thinks it's brilliant. And I do like the way Kay is standing there too. Monkey Panda making a little appearance for all those of you who love Monkey Panda. If you don't know who Monkey Panda is, he's the main star on my other channel. My husband and I have a mudlarking channel called Let's Go With The Johnsons. We travel, mudlarking, beach combing, exploring buildings. And we found Monkey Panda. He's our rescue panda and he comes everywhere with us. Time for hide and seek. So Lucy's covering her eyes and Molly's hiding behind the curtains. And oh, look, the bear's turned back into a rabbit again. And there's a little mouse. I love these when I've got more time in the mornings. I can really get into the drawing, but generally I'm rushing, so I don't get time to do all the backgrounds. Pippa's counting, but where is Polly? Can you see her? She's in the IKEA box. I enjoy doing all these little things on the shelves and putting up the family photograph. Well, it's not so much a family photograph, it's the girls' little sisters. So they like to have that on the wall to remind them for when the little sisters aren't there. If you look at the bookshelf, you've got yoga, quantum physics, style, art. That's because even though Dee looks a little eccentric, then she is a quantum physicist. She's very intelligent. Right, over here, it's up this way, and we've got, oops, need to zoom him out if I can, there. We got Dee is cheating a little bit. She's trying to see where Kay's hiding, and Kay has decided to hide behind Dee. She's also very clever and thinks a little bit laterally. And there's Monkey Panda and a kitten, and there are my wellies, really. They could be any of the girls, but I like to pop my wellies in occasionally. And turn around this way, pop my papers in, and then, oops, turn over, and I'm going to have to zoom in again. We'll get there. We'll get there. Not used to filming this with this camera. And there, I think we're in enough. The girls are having computer games hour. And Molly really struggles. She's really focused. She needs to try to stay on track, but she's not very good at it. Polly's just like a sister, cool as a cucumber. Everything's fine. She knows she's going to win. But then Kay, who you would imagine is doing something crazy, is actually working out their average score because she is like her big sister Dee, and she loves numbers, she loves science, she loves finding things out, so she doesn't want to play on the computer. She wants to watch the other girls and analyse them. So if I can just turn that up there. Now, what is Molly up to? Trying to look all cute? Oh dear, look at Polly, she's looking very sad. And Dee is writing a sign saying, please can we stay? They don't want to go home. Oh, poor old monkey's getting covered in paint. We've even got some car keys there with Dee on. Put my papers in place. Oh, I think you saw that anyway, but here we got Lucy is on her phone ringing her mum to see if she can arrange for an extra night. And Pippa is ringing her mum to see if she can arrange to have an extra night with her little sister. And Dee is ringing her dad, and as you can see, Kay is not making this easy for her. She, please don't make me go home. I wonder if they'll get to stay. Well, I think you can see by Molly's face and her actions there, I think they got to stay. And Polly's looking pretty excited too. And Kay is doing a cartwheel. They love staying with their big sisters. Art time. Here we've got Molly drawing Lucy. Or painting. And there you've got Polly painting Pippa. And Kay is painting Dee, and they've been looking at a lot of Dali books and cubism and all the different types of art styles, and she's decided to come up with this painting of her big sister. But now the time has come. They have to go home. Poor old Molly is looking so sad. And Lucy's trying to comfort her, but there's nothing she can do. It is time to go home finally. They've got school in the morning. Oh no. Look at Polly. Pippa tries to comfort her, but Polly is so sad. She doesn't want to leave. This is awful. Oh, I dread to think what Kay is going to be like. And there's Kay, and there's Dee, and Dee is so proud of Kay because Kay has worked out how many days until they get to meet up on Christmas. It's 103 days. So rather than get sad, Kay, like her sister, just resorts to maths and finds something that she likes and something that makes her feel better. And she now knows that they won't be long and they'll be meeting up again. When the sisters have gone home, the girls are a bit sad, so they decide to do some retail therapy. They go shopping. So Lucy quite likes this brown jacket. Pippa, she's thinking of trying some blue. She doesn't normally wear blue dresses. And Dee is wondering whether to go for something a little more feminine, because generally she wears rather eccentric things. She's not sure. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. They decide perhaps it'd be good to go for something a little more practical and stylish for the winter. So the three girls decide they're going to try on some sort of cape. So Lucy went for this one. I love her boots. And Pippa has gone for this style, which I think is very glamorous and very fitting for Pippa. And Dee, well, you wouldn't expect anything else, would you? But it's getting colder now. We're on to the 23rd of September. I was feeling the cold, so decided to put it into my pictures, my drawings, and read the story from there. Take the story from there. I've been doing too much talking. So poor old Lucy is feeling the cold and is a little bit down in the dumps. Pippa's a bit concerned about her, but she's okay because she's got a cup of coffee to keep her warm. But Dee is not coping at all. It's only autumn, and look at the way she's dressed. She doesn't cope with the cold. She's very much like me there. But along with the cold weather, or the colder weather, comes pumpkin season. So Lucy decides to pick up a pumpkin from the local pumpkin farm. That's a decent size. She's going to make some pumpkin soup and have a lot of fun with that. Maybe Pippa's taken one a little bit bigger than she should have because it's a bit of a struggle. She's buckling at the knees. I wonder what one Dee's got. As to be expected with somebody eccentric, she's got a lifter and she's got this huge, massive pumpkin. I have no idea what she's going to do with it, but she couldn't settle for anything less. She had to have the biggest pumpkin on the field. While they were on the farm, they could see all the leaves coming down and they fancied playing because they may be adults and may have jobs and responsibilities, but hey, you've got to enjoy life. So they decide to play in the leaves and enjoy the moment. But Dee decided to jump into a pile of leaves instead, as you do. Do you know, I have never jumped into a pile of leaves. I know. I don't know if you've even lived if you've never jumped into a pile of leaves. Turning over the page here, and early start next day. On the way to work, they pop in and grab a coffee from the station, and you can see Lucy's looking stylish. She's got her lovely stripy coffee cup. Pippa, well, as usual, glamorous, efficient looking, drinking her coffee. And then you got Dee, who can't survive on one cup of coffee, and she's figured out the way to sort this out. She's brought her trolley. She's got a massive bucket full of coffee and a straw, so she can walk to work while drinking as much coffee as she likes. And Monkey Panda's on her bag. But then when they get into work, there's a disaster. What are they going to do? The main computer is broken. They've got a massive presentation coming up, and they're stumped. Pippa's like, no problem, I'll get on the phone and I'll get somebody to call. But what do you know? Nobody can come this morning. This is really urgent. So Dee just takes the computer to bits, cleans out all the dust and grime, and it turns out that all it was the computer needed a good clean. So she's done a wonderful job. The girls are so pleased they got that sorted. They've clinched the deal, so Lucy is jumping up to give a high five. Pippa is jumping up to give a high five back. But Dee's just got herself a new book on quantum physics, so she's like, okay, you can have a high five, but I'm sorry, I've got to read this. This is so interesting. I hope you like the sound of crinkling paper. There's a lot of it. Boxercise class every Wednesday during lunchtime. The girls go, so Lucy is practicing some sparring. Pippa's given her a hand by holding these pads. I'm not quite sure if they're just called pads, but we'll call them pads. But I decided to go for a technical position on Dee. I tried to have her standing, turning, kicking, because she's doing kickboxing, obviously. She's not going to just box. And it's a little bit dubious around this area, but I think for a first attempt, it's not too bad. On the colder evenings, the girls like to stay in and do things, and they all need a new jumper. So they decided they're going to knit. So Lucy's knitting herself a lovely pink jumper. Pippa is going for lilac. She's struggling a little bit, but she is getting there. Dee realises there's something wrong with the way she's read the pattern. And for those of you who are observant, you'll notice there are 3 sleeves on her sweater. Look at this. I actually drew the wrong year. 20th of the 10th, 20, 19th. I did it once and I did it again. So I've had to alter it to 2021. I've lost a year. Time for a new winter hat. So Lucy looks very pretty in her pink hat. She quite likes pink. She's always wearing pink. Very girly is Lucy. Pippa's got a thing about clothing. She loves clothes, so she doesn't know whether to buy this hat, this hat, this a hat, or all three. She'll probably go for all three now in Pippa. Dee, on the other hand, is taking no chances. She's not just buying a hat, she's got herself a full body hat, which covers just about everything other than her toes, and it's got a pocket for snacks and a pocket for Monkey Panda. She does look toasty warm. And we're down to the 24th of October. We're nearly there. Time to pack. The girls have got another business trip again. They're forever flying away on business trips. And, Pippa's just managed to get everything into her suitcase. She's got a lovely yellow suitcase. I love this one. But Dee is struggling. She got all the things she wants to take, and she got loads of shoes, and she got lots of snacks, and she just can't get everything in, even though she's sitting on her case. I don't fancy her chances. That's not all going to fit in. And then they get to the airport. And Lucy's wandering along, looking a little bit forlorn and bored, and it turns out there are delays. Pippa is looking a little bit fed up, sitting on her suitcase. She was looking all glamorous for work, and now she's just stuck in the airport. But Dee has loved it because it means she can go shopping in all the airport's duty-free shops. So she's been buying a few bits and pieces to keep her going. But the delays go on and on. And poor old Lucy is looking really tired now. Pippa is a little bit bored, but she's catching up with all her friends on email. Dee has been drinking the coffee to keep going, and she's now completely hyper, pouring coffee everywhere and far too excited. I'm really pleased with the way the sideways faces are coming on. This one isn't brilliant, but it's a really difficult angle, but I think I've got somewhere now. Excuse me. And then I'll show you this all in one go. Now, those of you who've been following me on Instagram have been trying to guess, because first of all, along came Lucy with T and E, then came H&N on Pippa, and finally, to complete it, Dee came on with E and D, and Monkey Panda's come on with the date. So it's the end of this sketchbook on the 8th of November 2021. I've had a wonderful time working through this sketchbook, coming up with ideas, and I have got a few people now who are watching every day and seeing how the story developed. If you'd love to follow me over on Instagram, then I've got the link in the description below. It's Caroline J Art on Instagram, and every day, unless a mail or something really serious comes up, I will put out a new picture of, I don't know whether it'll be all girls, all these original characters in the next sketchbook, or whether I'll develop into making some new ones. Maybe the little sisters will come back. And of course, Christmas is going to feature in the next one, because that won't be long. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give me a thumbs up, and it would be great if you could subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. But until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye.